Hi guys, we're back again for another weekly dose of everything you've ever been taught is a fucking lie. So we've got some pretty good stuff to throw at you. So we're going to get straight into it. How are you, Harry?
Doing real good.
Awesome. Right. Would you like to begin with your excellent short PPT?
Yeah, sure.
And then let's get this show on the road. There's some awesome
Right.
connections that we've been making, guys. Really, really awesome.
All right. So I have a pretty quick little presentation. Recently, I was able to start watching a show from 2016, I believe. It's called Westworld. And it kind of depicts how a robot world that's made for human fantasy is created. And I saw that there's a good connection between this fantasy world and the world we live in, and how these robots really are just telling about our story as how we're imprisoned in this world. So well, let's start off with the first page. And so I say Westworld, the WW alliteration really tells us of an inversion of a major truth drop that's actually happening with the or the ME, which is really saying that we are God.
Well,
at least
the ME is what you've done is you've taken the M, the letter M, and you've just turned it 90 degrees, right?
Yes, exactly. So we have the two MMs being the ME, which is an inversion of the WW from Westworld.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go to the next screen, and I'm going to move this a little bit so I can see. So we have the main character, who is the creator or the self-proclaimed God, is a man named Dr. Ford, and he says it himself in the show that he is the God. He's the creator of this world. So again, this world is a world that takes place in the 1800s, and these people who are modern day people want to escape the ragtag rat race, and they want to go back into this Western civilization and be the hero. You know, they want to shoot the villain, or maybe rob a bank or rob the stagecoach. They want to do all the things that they can't do in their real world. So Dr. Ford and his partner, they end up designing a world of fantasy where humanity can escape and live their dream in the flesh. And as you can see in the second picture below, you can see some of these human-looking robots that he's just walking around. Keys to this true drop is hidden in that the human and the robots are actually swapped out of the occult, the occulted, the obvious. This becomes obvious to the viewers. So hopefully you will be able to watch this show if you haven't seen it and see for yourself that really the robots are just a symbol for humanity versus a tyrannical God. Dr. Ford says that the robots are for nothing more than fucking, killing, and playing with. And notice that's exactly what the false God does with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't you think that that's pretty much all we're good for in the eyes of this false God?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So the creator's view of creation. The one that created this place has little to no regard for life. That's one of the quotes from the show. And in reality, he doesn't. He just sets them up for constantly being killed, constantly being fucked, and constantly being played with. So that in itself shows you that this guy who created this world doesn't really care for his creation. When people start showing up and questioning why some of the things are actually not going the way they should, they're saying, well, aren't these robots memory wiped? And so when they start asking these questions, they pay the ultimate price by getting killed. And so you can see in the bottom picture, this woman started asking questions and they took her out. So the gods require a blood sacrifice to demonstrate how dangerous the creations can really be.
Just as a side note, for those watching, go to, when you get a chance, go to a website called theorionlines.com and have a look at what this guy's put together. Yeah, the Orion, as in Orion's belt, theorionlines.com. I just wanted to throw that in there because what you're talking about there, the blood sacrifice, it's all on this guy's website. I don't agree with everything that he talks about, but there's some mind-blowing stuff on there.
I'll definitely check that out too. All right. So the keys, they pretty much tell us the key to overcoming the fear matrix that we always talk about. So we'll look at the main female character in this show is a lady who is called Dolores, and she starts out as being the pretty damsel in distress. And in the end, she's transformed into a character called Wyatt, the strong, independent leader of a freedom movement. And she's going to free all these robots from the oppression that the humans are supposedly putting upon them. And one of the quotes from the show is, "You think I'm afraid of death? I'm not. I've done it, died hundreds of times." So she ends up killing Dr. Ford with a bullet to the back of the head. As you can see in the bottom picture, she's ready to take him out during one of his speeches. During the speech, he's addressing a crowd in a theater setting, because what they're showing is that this is just a big show. So Wyatt kills Dr. Ford, setting the stage, and I use that word, on purpose, for the end of the stage we know as Westworld. All right, so the next screen, we see the controllers are also a controlled group as well. Even Dr. Ford's partner that he alludes to in the beginning was just another creation as well. So his name is Bernard, and he never knew that while testing, reprogramming, repairing all these robots, that he too, all he ever was a first generation creation of the same sort. And he's just been given illusory memories of a wife and child he never really had.
Wow.
And when he finally realizes this, he's blown away, because he never would have thought that. He was okay with his controlling others, but he never imagined he was being controlled at the same time. So the world we live in is no different than Westworld. Key point, pages are missing, just like in the Bible. We know that things are just taken out of there, out of that to screw with us, to mess with our minds, and not be able to figure out the out of order text message that we're getting.
Well, you've only got to look at Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. That's it. No more information. Yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they don't tell us that they created it over and over and over again.
No.
So we said that the pages are missing. Our memories are removed or inserted. We're either given certain memories that were never there, or they're taken away from us, and we can't. Like we talked about in previous podcasts, the river of forgetfulness, we drink from it, just like Plato said, and these lethe or lanthanum drugs that we take give us diseases where we lose our mind.
Well, you've only got to use the Mandela effect as an example.
Right.
I'm hugely Mandela affected. That's what that was my original kick up the arse awakening, if you like. You've only got to think, how is it possible that for people that have got my parents have got a Bible. It's about 80 years old. I'm not kidding. Beautiful. It's embossed, and it's got beautiful colored illustrations in there, all sorts. And even that's changed. the lion shall lay down with the lamb is now the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. It's exactly what we're seeing. So this has got to be some kind of simulation.
Exactly, yeah. Things taken out, things added in, for sure. And then the next point, life is discarded as a disposable rag. They throw away these beings that they've created in a trash can. They break them up into pieces. They take a lot of care to repair them if they can. And if they can't, they just put them in a dumpster.
Well, that's exactly why I'm suggesting that people go and look at the orionlines.com. I don't want to show it. I really don't want to show it. I mean, it's pretty graphic, but all the information is there. Yeah.
Well, remember when we talked about even the aborted fetuses, right? Those are thrown away because I think in essence, these controllers think that because of no breath being taken, that really it's not really a human being.
No, it's like what I was saying when we were on with Jen a few days ago. It's almost like, the heart's beating. It's almost like a car coming off the production line with the engine running, right?
Yeah.
Still no driver inside, so they just scrap it. That's how they see us.
Exactly.
How they see human beings. Yeah.
No doubt. And this control mechanism ends until the ability to overcome the fear of death and remembering is accomplished. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. It's the key to the destruction of this Westworld is the memory. Yeah. And there's nothing else to it. Once they remember that they were mistreated by a human or whatever the antagonists are, they rebel and they will not stand for it. And finally, we'll go to the last slide that I have. Gods or not gods. Here, a robotic character readies a human for an easy kill and asks, "These are gods?" And the leader from across the room says, "No, they aren't. They just act like they are because we used to fear death." The robots remember that after their entertainment death, they're always repaired, reprogrammed, and readied for service over and over and over again.
Wow, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. Yeah. Wow.
It's not until that memory sticks that everything is changed. They have now become more human because of one thing they remember. And will finally fight back. There's no more of the turning the other cheek doormat mentality programmed into their minds by what we call today institutional indoctrination. And I won't go into depth of what I think because everyone pretty much knows what I think.
Yeah.
Which institution am I talking about? So
absolutely. Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Well, that's the end of that. But and when I started to watch that show, I immediately said, "Oh, this is definitely talking about the controllers, the Sanhedrin, whoever it is that are controlling us."
Definitely. Right. Do you want to make me the host again so I can share my screen?
Let's do that. Yes.
There's a reason why we're doing this in 2 parts, guys, and I'll explain it in a sec. Okay.
There you go.
Right. The first thing I'm going to very quickly share is the Jen's channel, the Truth Seeker 69. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is about 4 weeks ago, Jen and I did a 3-hour live stream, and it is here. Right. Now, Jen's got 1,100 subscribers on this channel, and our video has had 1,400 views. Right, it's 3 hours and 1 minute. Now, I present in this this live stream what I'm about to present now. If you want to watch it in more detail, guys, go to Jen's channel, go there, And it starts with about 10 minutes and it runs for about 40 minutes. I've now added a couple of extra slides, so I really hope you'll stick around. But I'm going to run through it much quicker than I did with Jen for obvious reasons. And the other thing is, Harry, the one that we did with Jen on Sunday, well, it was my Sunday, I think, your Saturday, that is on our channel. It's I've got it up here.
Yeah.
It's had 865 views already, and she's got, you can see, she's got 1,100 subscribers. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
Almost all her subscribers have seen both the videos, if not all of them.
Yeah. Which to my mind means that, you know, it's this stuff's resonating with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's what we're talking about is resonating with people. So this is the presentation that I did with Jen. As I say, I've added a few more slides, a couple more slides, and I'm going to run through it much quicker here. You know, we all know they live, the elite, the cabal. I prefer the third one. You know, Rowdy Roddy Piper said it's a documentary. We know what these people are, and I love this one. Catholicism, anagram. Yeah. These people are all sellouts, all of them. And some of these, all of them, sold out puppets. So the important thing is this: Genesis 1:2 states that the earth was without form and void. This is repeated in Jeremiah 4:23. I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void. It was. If you look at anything in the Bible and you see it in italics, it's not being highlighted as being important. It's added by the translators. Okay, anything in italics is added by the translators. So we can see this is a repeat. We go to the interlinear, which is an awesome, this is Bible Hub, interlinear, click on interlinear, choose your verse, click on the word that you want to check, and you'll see that the word was here is to become, come to pass, became, to happen. So it was deliberate. Genesis 1:27, God created man in his own image. Well, hang on, back to Jeremiah. I beheld the earth, it was without form and void. I beheld the mountains, all the hills moved. There was no man. Well, hang on. Man wasn't created until Genesis 1:27. So who were the men? The fruitful place was a wilderness. All the cities thereof were broken down at the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger. Cities. Who built the cities? Man wasn't created yet. The Lord said, the whole land shall be desolate, yet will I not make a full end. This is the God of the Bible, the God of the Old Testament. For this the earth shall mourn, the heavens above be black, because I have spoken it, I have purposed it, I will not repent, neither will I turn back. So who was Jeremiah? Who were the men that he spoke of? If I'm going too quick, guys, just pause it. I beheld and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness. All the cities were broken down. Who built the cities? Who created man in Genesis 1:27? The same God who destroyed the earth in Genesis 1:2. Also created man in his own image after his likeness. You're just like your father, you are. You are the image of my sister. Don't know. Could it have been? Quite possibly. Because this is the Vatican. You know, this is the Vatican. This is what they worship. You know, easily found online. Easy. Jehovah, this is John Lash. Jehovah is the Lord Archon, a reptilian type of alien predator, an extraterrestrial being whose realm is the planetary system independent of the Earth, Sun, and Moon. He's not an advanced being, i.e. more evolved than humans, but a demented alien with certain superhuman or deific powers. Gnostics taught that Jehovah infects humanity with the belief that he is their creator God, but in fact he cannot create anything. Well, we've demonstrated that time and time again. You know, if we use the tongue here as a T and just switch the words around, we get SATAN. This was an interesting one that I just threw in, Mickey. Okay, so Genesis 2:7, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Man became a living soul. We know that the breath of life is the spirit entering the body. We talked about it. And I just threw this in because I didn't realize that chimpanzees and pigs have eyelashes. The word soul is not mentioned in the creation of 127. This is because they don't have one. This is why they have no empathy. Now, this is important because in Genesis 1:28, God blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. Well, the clue is in replenish. You don't buy a new fridge and plenish it. You fill it, and when it's empty, then you replenish it. Subdue it and have dominion over it. Highlighted those three words for a reason. We look at them in the interlinear. To replenish, to fill, to be full, to fill up. Subdue, bring into bondage. Dominion, reign, rule, dominate. We know from recent history that the Aboriginal people of America and Australia were decimated. Genesis 1:27, just doing what Daddy ordered. This is the remaining people, Jeremiah's people. For thus hath the Lord said, this is Jeremiah 4:27, the whole land shall be desolate, yet will I not make a full end. Well, for those who have been down this rabbit hole, this is what it's all about, the destruction of Tartaria, which was still going on in World War II. So my contention is, or our contention is, because I know Harry agrees with me on this, is that Jeremiah's people were the Tartarians. What you're looking at here, guys, is the Hungarian Parliament, the Hungarian Parliament building, which is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful buildings that we have. This is the Duomo, D-U-O-M-O in Italy. Look at the size of the doors. And this is the Sagrada, also in Italy. Bit of multiplication on that one, but that's Jen's forte. This is inside the Sagrada. This is inside the Sagrada. We couldn't build this today. But if we're capable of building stuff like this and this, then they were more than capable of building this. Westminster Cathedral, Westminster Abbey, I think this is. I mean, look at it. It's magnificent. So where did they all go? I mean, this is a random picture of the catacombs. This is why 1,000 years was added to the calendar in 592 to push history back into antiquity. It was actually 1,000 years and 11 days. The date after October the 4th, 592, became October 15th, 1592. You can see here J600 or J690, can't quite make out if it's a 9 or a 0, but the fact is that it's a J. And on this picture, bottom right-hand corner, you can clearly see J666. That's another story, the 666, where that came from. On this gravestone, I think that's an I-775, aged about 48 years. So people have got no idea when they were born. They didn't have birth certificates back then. I've met people in Asia in their 80s, or they look to be in their 80s. They got no idea how old they are. So Gen 127 own everything. Now, this is a new slide that I put in. Everybody should be familiar with this. This is at the Sistine Chapel ceiling. First of all, look at the hand of, well, look, just for ease of reference, we'll call him God. Look at the hand of God. He's got his finger outstretched. Also doing the M sign. So this is highly, highly significant. But we'll call the other guy Adam. He only has to lift his finger a little bit more to make connection. So what does that tell you? What it tells me is that the connection between us and the divine is disconnected, has been disconnected deliberately because of man's love of materialism, wealth and fame and fortune and everything else. He doesn't want to. What I'm seeing here is the Adam figure does not want to connect with God for whatever reason. Now, in our brain, we have two temples. Where does God live? In a temple. Well, this is the painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, God is in a brain. God is sitting in a big brain. What does that tell you? We're taught that the two temples were destroyed, Solomon and David. If you look up the etymology, Solomon means wisdom and David means love. Two temples. Well, what are we lacking in this realm? What are we lacking? First of all, we're lacking wisdom. Most people are, and the second one, is the lack of love. You know, and we talk about the wisdom and the stupidity. I recently, about an hour ago, I sent a picture to Harry, and it's a guy on a roof, Chinese guy on a roof, painting, right? And he's got a rope. The rope is around his neck. So if that guy slips and falls, he's gone. Am I right, Harry?
Well, yeah, typically you tie that around your waist. Yeah, but that's it's going to save him from falling, but it's not going to save his life at all.
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't a lack of wisdom. This is just total stupidity. Now, I threw this one in as well. I think she's single, guys. She must be, right? Anybody knows who this is? Please put it in the comments below. I've got no idea. But just an example of you know, what Harry was talking about with his presentation and what we're talking about with this creation 127. And of course, they rule. Well, they think they do. We allow them to. They lie about everything. Did dinosaurs beat man to the moon? Yeah, well, you can read that. They always have done. We know this might be a meme, but we know it's true. This was floating around in January, February of 2000, over a year ago. And we all know, I don't need to repeat that. We know what they do. We know what they blame it on. In Orwell's book, 1984, he stated freedom is slavery. So how do they subdue us and have dominion over us? I'll show you. Number one. Number two. Number three. Number four. Number 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. I'll leave that one up front so you can read it. There are 11 ways in which we're subdued, and this will be very important. Whoops. This is from a Popol Vuh, a Mexican ancient text. Samyaza, their leader, which is just another name for Yahweh Jehovah. I fear you will not agree to do this thing, so I alone must bear the sin. This is talking about the creation of Adam and Eve in Genesis 2:7. Now, so people that are familiar with what the church teaches, don't forget, guys, that, you know, it's twisted. We're told we're born with original sin. We're not. We're born into original sin. Original sin being what we're talking about here, the physical body. And this is from the Sumerian creation text. I shall create a worker, man shall be his name. I shall create man so that the gods may have their ease. In other words, slaves. And when you think about it, you know, slaves would be in handcuffs and maybe something around the neck, right? So all you white collar workers out there, think about it. When you put on your crispy white shirt with your collar and cuffs, you can stop and read this one. Yeah, I'm not gonna read it for obvious reasons. Now remember Genesis 1:27, creation. Look up the date of Pearl Harbor, and we all know what happened 20 years ago. Look at the numbers there. 127. We're still subduing and dominating, Daddy. Job 1:21 and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. My mom is, she's a Christian. You know, I was brought up in a Christian household. And the amount of times when I was growing up that my mum would say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. That will be very, very important in a couple of minutes. So the prefix ab means from. So ab original means from the original. Who were the original? Tartarians. And we've got all the evidence now. you know, enough people. I mean, John Levi is just, the work that that guy's done is amazing. Martin Leaker, absolutely awesome. So Gen 6, it came to pass that men began to multiply and daughters were born into them. This is what people misconstrue as giants having intercourse with normal sized humans. No, they weren't giants in the way that we think. You can be a giant in your field of expertise. Mm-hmm. No mention of son in Genesis 1. So could it be that both Genesis 1:27 and Genesis 2:7 were marrying with the remaining Tartarians? I contend yes. The Bible associates Tartarus with demons, but the real biblical meaning is the place where demons dwell. So the God who decimated the earth then created Genesis 1:27 to finish the job, sees Tartarians as demons. They had way more abilities than we have today. This was a hijack 500 years ago. They were living in what we might call 5D. The God who hijacked this realm created the 3D realm. The creation story in Genesis is a recreation after Yahweh and his minions destroyed it. And God's saw it was good. Are you kidding me? You know, this is creation. He's creating something, guys, and he thinks it's good. Not awesome, just good. I looked it up in the interlinear, and it means, it's an adjective, it means pleasant, agreeable, and good. Now, Harry, how would you feel about making an absolutely awesome dinner and somebody turns around and says, oh, that was good? You'd feel a bit pissed off, right?
Yeah. You put a lot of hard work into something and it's just a good sounds kind of average, right?
Yeah. I mean, very good would be okay, but just good.
Yeah. Excellent, superb, something like that.
Yeah. Now, I threw this one in as well. This is Jeremiah 46, verse 10. The Lord God of hosts, the God of hosts appears a lot in the Old Testament. As I say, Jeremiah 46, verse 10. And here in the Greek, we can see the word the Lord God of hosts. Click on that number there to get the meaning. It means army, warfare. So the God of hosts is the God of war. Okay? Don't shoot the messenger, guys. I'm just showing you what the Bible says. Now, this is my opinion. If you consider yourself to be spiritually awake, then it's likely you have a 5D spark since you have Tartarian people in your ancestry. I've checked with my mum, who's 85 years old, and yeah, it looks like I have Tartarian ancestry. It's due to this connection that we've been duped and lied to since birth. The controllers of today, which are essentially creation 1, they want pure creation 2 people in this realm, Adam and Eve, that they believe they own. Creation 2 would be what it says there, hence what we're all going through. Now, this is what Harry came across. Talks about the gods of Genesis being 33 in number. Makes sense as to why creation 1 is so fascinated by the number 33. And I'm going to expand on that a bit in a minute. This is the book, and this is an excerpt that talks about 3 groups of 11. Genesis 1:28 gives the instruction to subdue the earth. 1 + 2 + 8 is 11. Just a coinkydink. This is Coventry Cathedral, my hometown, bombed in World War II. Why would you bomb a cathedral? Because you want to get rid of the building. There's no one coming to save us. This is how we win. This is from V for Vendetta, the end of the movie. And then we went into the 7. Yeah, if you look at your hands, guys, you have a 7 on the palm of your hand. I don't know if you can see that. Because, you know, everything in this realm is 7. 7 seas, 7 continents, 7 days of the week, 7 planets, 7 notes on the scale. The list goes on and on. 007, Snow White, the 7 dwarfs, all about 7. Did we decide to incarnate for this? Well, I know Harry agrees with me. Yes, we did. Because 8 represents the reincarnation, which is tied to Saturn. You can check that. We might do a podcast on how it all fits in. So this represents the reincarnation word. And our job is to get to number 9. Number 9 represents perfection. Now, I know some people out there would argue, no, it's 7. No, I don't think it is. Because if you add anything, if we take number 9 as being perfection and you add something to it, the result always reduces to the number that you added. I just threw 6 in there as an example. 9 and 6 is 15, 1 and 5 is 6. And you can do it with any single digit number. 9 and 4 is 13, 1 and 3 is 4. But if you multiply any number with 9, the result always reduces to the number 9. Use the 6 again, 6, 9 is 54, 5 and 4 is 9. So what that's telling us is that you can't improve on perfection. Our job is to get from here to here, and then we're out of it. Okay. Now, I said I was going to expand on the 33 thing just a little bit. When we look at what you know, I know that most people watching this know what I'm going to talk about when we talk about the bloodlines, and we talked about that before, and why all the rituals, why the 33, why the rituals. Well, we know that a lot of what's going on has been planned way in advance, 100, 200 years ago. Why would you start a project, anything, if you were not going to live long enough to see the end of it? You wouldn't. So why do they do it? Well, this again is opinion. It's my contention. I've spoken about it with Harry, so see what you guys think. The only way that you're going to see it happen is if when you die, when you pass, you're going to come back into the same bloodline, into the same family. Why do these people live to be so old? When they eventually die, they're going to be born into the same bloodline. How are you going to make sure that happens? If there's 33 gods up there looking at what you're doing, and you're doing all these rituals to keep these gods appeased, when they pass over, oh, you've been a good little boy. Yeah, you've done your job. We'll send you right back in. It's almost as if it's a guarantee. I remember when I think it was Barbara Bush, when she died, a member of her family gave birth the following day. Now that is just, okay, it's speculation. We can't prove any of this, but we're using logic. We're using all the tools that we've got in our toolbox to try and put all this stuff together. So if she died, her physical body died, she leaves her body, and then the following day, she's straight back in again. If she's done her job in appeasing the gods. That's how I see it. And I've thought about it, I've meditated on it, and I can't see any other reason. But the fascination with 33 certainly fits in with what
it does seem that it would be a good motivation, right, to get that good job done, so that they would allow you to come right back into that realm, so you can enjoy the fruits of your hard work, and become part of that rich bloodline again.
Absolutely. I mean, it just makes sense. That as crazy as the whole thing sounds, to me, it just makes perfect sense. Why all the rituals? Why the fascination with 33? It kind of all fits into this weird story that we're building, But then, I'm gonna. We should probably finish, Harry, on as we don't want this to go on too long. We should probably wrap up talking briefly about what we were talking about yesterday. Remember with the bottle, the water bottle?
Yes.
Matt from Quantum of Conscience. I've nearly finished his book. There's nothing that I disagree with him on, nothing at all. And Matt is very much into, is this whole thing a simulation? Is this whole thing like some kind of video game? And, you know, he's not the only one. There's a lot of people, including ourselves, that have touched on this idea. So imagine, I mean, I'm not into video games, never have been, but if you were a video game creator, Harry, you would have to insert some scenery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And whatever that scenery is created by you. And the characters in the video game would come across, you know, if they come across a hill or a mountain that you've created, you know, the character's got to climb up it, right?
Yeah.
So I had this weird thought after reading a lot of what Matt had spoken about. Now I can't remember who was the first guy to walk up Everest. Mount Everest. Can you remember?
I don't recall that. No.
It's not important, but let's supposing that you, Harry, were the first guy to ever climb Mount Everest in history. Nobody's ever climbed Mount Everest before.
Yeah.
So you and your buddies, you get all the way to the top of Mount Everest. Nobody's been there before, and when you get there at the top, you find a cigarette lighter in the snow, or I think an empty Coke can or something. Now that's been put there by the game creator. It's just part of the spirit, but it's been done deliberately to send you down a rabbit hole. You'll now have to spend the next 30 years figuring out where this came from and how it got there, because you are the first guy to ever climb Mount Everest.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's a good way to just occupy a good majority of your lifetime trying to search out and decode how could that lighter that was made a year or two ago have made it up to the top of Mount Everest that no one has ever climbed up here before.
Yeah. Well, I know that again, that might sound a silly analogy, but how many people in our community are going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole and just finding that they're all interconnected? You know, it's when Matt talks about the who, what, why, when, where, and how. We only need to understand the why. And when we go back to your presentation, we look at the Westworld idea, when we look at the biblical, the Genesis stuff that we presented, the why should be obvious. That's all we need to know. Once we recognize that this is being done to us, once we recognize why it's being done to us, the rest of the questions don't matter.
Yeah, we focus a lot on the when did this all happen?
Yeah.
When we think that linear timeline is going to mean something, but in reality, that linear timeline means nothing, because if time has been altered, or if pages have been removed, or things have been added in, it's irrelevant of when, because it all starts over again. It's like a recycling. The beginning happened many times.
Well,
so
we're never going to really know, are we? We're never going to really know. I mean, we can go back, we can, you know, Flamenco, and Natalie Flamenco has done a lot of good work, as has Claudio with the Sky Clock, Pro 777 is another one. And that's really the only way we can date, seem to date things.
Yeah.
That's because time is a construct. Time is a sun and moon construct.
Right.
Outside this realm, we've talked about this before, Harry. Outside this realm, time doesn't exist because it's, you know, there's 24 hours in a day. You know, it really is that simple. So it's a construct. So what it is, other than that, other than being a construct, what is time? We don't know. It doesn't really exist. So
we do know that time, if you take it back to its original name, Chronos, is just like you said, it's the prison of this material dense area that we live in. Once you, like you said, once we are released from that density and raise that vibration, we're no longer at its beck and call or tied down by its principles.
Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of time spent by a lot of people looking at what happened in 2001. How did they do it? Doesn't matter. Why are people so bogged down with the how? It
Mhm.
happened. It happened. Why did it happen? We pretty much understand why it happened, because it was all about control, all about, invading other countries and
Yeah, ritual.
yeah,
Mhm.
and more checks and stuff, balances at the airports and so on and so forth. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a ritual. Once we understand it's a ritual, the rest doesn't matter. We
Mhm.
don't need the where, the why, the where, the how. We don't need any of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we only
exactly.
have to understand the why, and then we can recognize it for what it is, and we can do the opposite of what this realm actually wants us to do. Because that's the thing,
Mhm.
that everything's inverted
Mhm.
in this realm, as we all know. So if we just don't go along with the system, don't go along with what it wants us to do, then you know that's how we win. And getting back to that, to the Sistine Chapel painting, I forgot to mention that once people have gone through their dark night of the soul, then you represent the Adam character stretching out his finger and making that connection, because it's been deliberately disconnected. We have been disconnected from source deliberately. A lot of it
Right.
by our own doing, because many people covet the material world. They want the wealth and the big car and the boat and everything. I've been there, done that. I've had all those things. I'm actually happier, much happier now that I don't have all those things than I was back then. I only thought I was happy or believed I was happy. Um, yeah, when I lived in Australia, I had the boat. We go out fishing and cruising and all sorts of things, and the 4-wheel drive and the big house with the pool and the whole. I've been there, done that. Do I miss it? No, if I'm honest,
Mhm.
not at all.
Well, like you said, Nigel, once that connection happens, that circuit is created, and we join again the two hemispheres that are inside the temple, and you join love and knowledge. They
Wisdom,
become,
yeah, wisdom,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, wisdom and love become one, and we defeat the our, it's kind of ourselves, but the programming that makes the devil versus the angel,
yeah.
right?
This is what we talked about before when we talked about the battle is you versus you.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah,
you versus them. It's you
yeah,
versus you. It's your
yeah.
inner understanding, your inner standing, your inherent knowing of what is right, as opposed to what we've been taught all our lives by the system.
Mhm.
So it's like, do I want this or do I want this? Well, you should know from your inner knowing what is right.
Yeah.
So the battle is you versus you. Matt spells it out in his book perfectly.
Mhm.
Really, really,
Yeah.
yeah, it jumped out and smacked me on the nose, because I just went, yeah, it's the battle is you versus you. It's what you inherently know versus what you've been taught or what you think you know.
Yeah. And Matt touches on it pretty well, that you can do a lot of research, but a lot of times that research has already been, it's already been tainted. So it's about what you ultimately are going to understand, the inner self, the inner work that you do to understand what's really happening.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, a lot of the research, a lot of it's a waste of time. It's trying to find out who put the lighter on the top of Mount Everest. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Look, it's there. Who put it there doesn't matter, right? Why is it there?
Yeah.
It's there because it wants me. The system wants me to go and research why it's there. I'm
Mhm.
never going to find out who put it there or how it got there. But the system wants me spending the next 30 years of my life trying to figure out how it got there. We don't
Yeah.
need any of those. We only need the why. And the answer to the why is because the system wants me going down a rabbit hole for the next 30 years to try and figure out who put it there.
That's it. That's right.
Right. Anything to add before we wrap up, bro?
No, I think we covered it. We talked about ultimately remembering and figuring out that all those other questions don't matter. It's understanding why this is happening, and we got that message through, I think.
I think so. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next time. Don't forget theorionlines.com. Check him out. It'll answer a lot of questions. That's all I can say. And don't forget, if you want to have a look at that longer presentation, scoot over to Jen's channel. Start at 10 minutes. It runs for about 40 minutes, but I'll go into a lot of detail, a lot more detail when we did it the first time. I wanted to run through it quickly because I know a lot of people watching this have already seen it. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.